spice must flow. Spice must flow.
It's time to start the magic on the Globus show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus show. See the sights, so much to adventure is never done. Every corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know. Across the lands, hand in hand, we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode.
On the Globus Show, on the Globus Show,
It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
on the Globus Show, on the Globus Show.
It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. On the Globus Show. On the Globus Show. On the Globus Show. On the Globus
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Charm Chaos. Good morning, bots. Good morning, lurkers. Morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to all who celebrate. Okay. So today we have the morning news. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. Hey, 3 people recruited Rowan. Thanks to everyone who's been helping out with the AFK journey. It's really appreciated. Okay, so we have the morning show, the news, then we have the evening show. There will be no movie night in Discord this week. A friend of mine is going through some stuff and is coming over, so yeah. Can you situate yourself, sir? Um, Dimpy, relax, chill, sit, lay down. Good boy. So yeah, and then we'll be back on Monday, barring any super secret Saturday streams, which are always a potential. So without further ado, the news. Uh, where is my news file? Professional streamer. Do. There we go. All right. Top of the pops. Oh, for those of you who were here for the second half of the intro song, um, I used um, Leonardo to generate a robot image, and then I used the Vigil that we talked about yesterday to create the video. So, like, it allows you to map an image over video, and then I used Clipchamp to put it all together as normal. So, yeah. I said yesterday I was going to use Vigil, and I was absolutely going to use Vigil. What productivity boom? AI will provide just a 1% GDP boost over the next decade, MIT economist says. Talk to nearly any artificial intelligence bull, and they'll likely mention the technology's huge expected economic impact. It's expected to turbocharge productivity, enhancing the efficiency of today's human led jobs. That in turn is seen triggering a new era of growth. Goldman Sachs is among those bullish on AI's economic prospects, previously forecasting that annual global GDP will eventually see a 7% boost from AI's labor impact. Vanguard also recently estimated that average real GDP could exceed 2.3% between 2028 and 2040. In a new National Bureau of Economic Research study, MIT economist Darren Acemoglu projects just mild economic upside in the U.S. stemming from AI advancement. My calculations suggest that the GDP boost within the next 10 years should be modest, in the range of 0.93% to 1.16% over 10 years in total. Presuming that the technology prompts an investment boom, this forecast could rise to a range of 1.4 to 1.56% in total. The low estimate stems from subdued outlook on how much AI can really advance total factor productivity. While non trivial, this figure will also be modest, Acemoglu wrote. That's especially made true in the face of hard to learn tasks, such as decision making situations that are heavily context dependent. According to the study, many of today's bullish forecasts overestimate productivity gains as they only take into account easy tasks. But when recognizing hard tasks, AI boosts to total factor productivity falls to an upper bound of 0.53% within the next decade. While Acemoglu notes that new tasks and products from AI will boost GDP, not every contribution will be positive. The tech. What? I have a job to do, sir. The technology will likely also increase manipulative tasks, pulling down on welfare. Bad tasks include deepfakes, false advertising, social media addiction, and AI led computer hacks, he listed. While these could add 2% to GDP, the impact on welfare would actually be a contraction of 0.72%. All right. Take a brief look at the study. The simple macroeconomics of AI. Stampy, you need to get down. Can you not behave? You're standing on my wires. You're pawing at my beard. It is not Stampy time, it is AI time. This paper evaluates claims about large macroeconomic implications of new advances in AI. It starts from a task based model of AI's effects, working through automation and task complementaries. So long as AI's macroeconomic effects are driven by cost savings, productivity improvements at the task level, its macroeconomic consequences will be given by a version of Holton's theorem. GDP and aggregate productivity gains can be estimated by what fraction of tasks are impacted and average task level cost savings. I don't know. Speaking from my own experience, I was able to completely redo my intro video in just a couple of hours, like from attaining assets and everything else. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess your mileage may vary. Um, and did I grab that? Yeah, here we go. Oh no, this is the same. It's the same link. All right, so we can get rid of that one. Yeah, I saw an article about 50% of jobs impacted. I must not have grabbed it. One moment. Do 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 do. Okay, top VC Kai-Fu Lee says his prediction that AI will displace 50% of jobs by 2027 is uncannily accurate. I don't know about talking about your own prediction as being uncannily accurate, but years before OpenAI's ChatGPT showed the world what generative AI technology could do, venture capitalist Kai-Fu Lee saw AI's disruptive potential in the labor market. The chairman and chief executive of Sinovation Ventures predicted in 2017 that AI would be bigger than all of humanity's previous technology revolutions combined, including electricity and the internet, adding that AI is far more capable than people. These are things that are superhuman, and we think this will be in every industry. Will probably replace 50% of human jobs, create a large amount of wealth for mankind, and wipe out poverty. Lee told CNBC at the time, later forecasting that it would happen in the next 10 years. So 2017, next 10 years is up to 2027. Fast forward 7 years to the Fortune Innovation Forum in Hong Kong in March when he sat down with Fortune's editor in chief, Alison Chantel. With the timeline of his prediction just 3 years away, she asked him if it still holds, and he replied, "It's actually uncannily accurate. People have criticized me for being too aggressive in 2017, 18, and 19, And I was a little nervous at the time, but when Gen AI came out, I think everybody's on the bandwagon and believing that is the correct pace. AI will likely eliminate white collar jobs faster than blue collar jobs, Lee added, describing it as a very significant problem that some countries have started realizing needs to be addressed. When asked what parents should tell their kids about their future careers, he said the first thing people should do is stop this nonsense about kids are using ChatGPT to cheat. When kids grow up, enter the workforce, and are evaluated for their performance, bosses will look at the end result of their work and not whether they use ChatGPT or Google search. We need to encourage people to harness AI and use all the tools so that they can be the best they can be. Also, it's a great guide to what things they can aspire to and what things are not worth following. To be sure, Lee still believes that there is something unique about our humanity, saying people have souls while machines never will. I do not believe in souls. Um, I guess it depends on your spiritual background. We have compassion and empathy. We have emotions and the ability to love. We have the ability to connect to other people and create trust and win trust. In fact, more than any technical or business skill, the most important skill is to have is being able to earn other people's trust, which comes from authenticity, teamwork, sharing, and having a high emotional quotient. Do I think AI can fake it? Yes. Do I think people will accept the faking AI at least for the next 50 years? No. So that's long enough for your kids to survive and figure out the next step for their kids. So, I guess it depends on your position. OpenAI OpenAI offers nonprofits discounts on corporate ChatGPT products. OpenAI will offer discounts on corporate ChatGPT subscriptions to nonprofit organizations, the Microsoft backed firm said on Thursday, as it seeks to grow sales of its artificial intelligence product to enterprise. Under the program, large nonprofits will be able to get 50% off the enterprise grade version of ChatGPT. Smaller nonprofits using ChatGPT Team will pay $20 a month per user instead of $25 or $30. When OpenAI released the recently, the company has courted large organizations. The company has also announced on Thursday a partnership with the International Rescue Committee. OpenAI has granted $250,000 to the IRC, New York-based nonprofit that helps those affected by humanitarian crises such as the war in Ukraine. What about the other one? What about the other one? Not going to talk about that one. The funds will go toward developing an education chatbot built on OpenAI technology to assist educators in crisis zones called Apprend IA. It is currently being piloted in places such as Bangladesh and Nigeria, the IRC says. Total of 224 million school-aged and preschool-aged children are affected by crisis globally. In conflict and crisis settings, teachers lack resources to support children who face unique challenges. IRC said educators will be able to use Apprend IA to create interactive and personalized teaching content adaptable to different humanitarian contexts. To expand its global reach, IRC plans to make chatbots available on low tech devices and within existing chat products like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger in multiple languages. Good morning, PETA. Big tech develops AI networking standard, but without chip leader NVIDIA. Major tech firms, including Meta, Microsoft, Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, Broadcom, Broadcom, said on Thursday they have developed a new industry standard for networking in AI data centers, the latest effort to break the dominance of market leader NVIDIA. The Ultra Accelerator Link is an attempt to establish an open standard for communication between artificial intelligence accelerators, systems that can help process the vast amounts of data employed in AI tasks. Other members include Google, Cisco, Hewlett Packard, and Intel. NVIDIA, the biggest player in the AI chip market with a share of around 80%, is not part of the grouping. Tech giants like Google and Meta are keen to reduce their dependence on NVIDIA, whose networking business forms an essential part of the package that enables its AI dominance. Broadcom's central rival in the networking and custom chip market, Marvel uh, Technologies, is also not part of the group. Sorry. When I see two L's on the end of it, I pronounce it like the original Captain Marvel from Marvel Comics. And it's got a dash in between the R and the V, and so I pronounce it Marvel. An industry specification becomes critical to standardize the interface for AI and machine learning, HPC, high performance computing, and cloud applications for the next generation of AI data centers and implementations. We're burning through the news today. Burning through the news. Anthropic's AI now lets you create bots to work for you. You can buy shoes, read emails, and do whatever you want. So, you had ChatGPT at OpenAI's ChatGPT, which allowed you to create GPTs, which is a terrible name, but whatever. Um, Basically, your own more fine-tuned bots. Then Microsoft, using that same platform, allowed you to create your own Copilot bots. Google recently, past couple of months, added that ability to, or actually, it might have even been in just the most recent Google talk, the Google product release. But now Google Gemini has it, and now Anthropic has theirs. Morning, Larry. So a bunch of the big players have their own relatively easily fine-tuned models. Um, so yeah, do I have? Huh. I wonder if I wonder if something happened and some of my links didn't get recorded. Um, because I wanted to talk about this as well. Um, these are all older. Anyways, the GPTs. One of my biggest criticisms of the GPTs were that you couldn't you had to be using the paid version of ChatGPT in order to use a custom GPT, which definitely lowers their utility. um, as of yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, you got an email that said that they are now available for free users of ChatGPT. So, as far as I can tell, you still have to have a ChatGPT account. You can't just, anonymously use ChatGPT. But that once you do that, you can then use the custom GPTs that have been created by people using the paid version of ChatGPT. So if you're ChatGPT Plus, you can create custom GPTs. ChatGPT free, you can use custom GPTs. So for my purposes, one of the things I wanted to do was use it for board game rule books, both to teach people how to play board games, because some of the board games I have, again, are complicated, and also to be able to ask questions, and then also to use it to help people. If you've ever played a pen and paper role playing game, one of your sticking points, the two biggest sticking points, are one, having a GM, somebody who's capable and willing to run a campaign, and two, getting people to create their characters. Um, so I wanted to create a custom GPT that was capable of helping someone create a character in All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a zombie role playing game. Um, so, for my own personal purposes, this is a win. Anywho, Anthropic's AI now lets you create bots to work for you. Anthropic is releasing a new feature for its AI chatbot Claude that will let anyone create an email assistant, a bot to purchase shoes, or other personalized solutions. It's called Tool Use, or the nerdier function calling, and it hooks up to any external API of your choosing. Well, I'm not a huge fan of the term AI agents. Who are you? Where's her name? Kylie Robinson. Robinson? Kylie Robinson? Um, that's essentially the game plan here. For instance, the tool can analyze data to create personalized product recommendations based on a user's purchase history or provide quick responses to customer inquiries, such as tracking order status or offering real time technical support. To spin up an assistant, all it needs is access to an API and someone who knows how to code. Okay, so this, yeah, having someone who knows how to code, that's going to limit utility of these agents. Now, these agents might be more powerful than the offerings from the other players, but the advantage of the custom GPT, for instance, is you just talk to the chatbot to create the agent that you want to create rather than, this. Now, this might be more powerful. Again, it could have additional capabilities, but we have to see. Also, this tool can work with images, enabling applications that analyze visual data. An example Anthropic gave is that a virtual interior design consultant can use this tool to process room images and provide personalized decor suggestions. This AI assistant will be available through Anthropic's Messages API, Amazon Bedrock, and Google Vertex AI. Pricing is based on the volume of text Claude processes measured in tokens. During the beta phase, most users opted for Anthropic's fastest and most affordable option, Haiku, which costs approximately 25 cents per million input tokens and $1.25 per million output tokens. According to Diane Penn, a project lead at Anthropic, the team has been beta testing the Claude tool since April with a few thousand customers. She anticipates some cool startup solutions. One of the spotlighted customers was Study Fetch, which used it to build a personalized AI tutor called Spark E. What up, Portsides? Good morning, good morning, good morning. AI assistants or agents or whatever you call them seem to be where this technology is headed. Yes, we covered this to repeat. 2024 is the year of AI agents and embodied AI. And embodied AI means AI will have some form of access point in a robot, whether it's on board or whether it has to, call back to a central server type situation. Uh, at Google I/O, the search giant unveiled all sorts of ways to let Google do the shopping, and talking about you, not to you, Google. There's a reason you don't understand. Let Google do the shopping and searching for you using AI. At OpenAI, the company is working on a her-like voice assistant that can respond in real time and observe the world around you. In a demo, it suggested change of clothes before an important job interview. Anthropic's release of this tool allows people to create various assistants to meet their needs with or without Google and OpenAI. And then they have a Vergecast. Everybody's getting in the streaming game, yo. Everybody's in the streaming game. What's next? Oh, here is the article that I was looking for. Custom GPTs are open for free ChatGPT users. Okay, so if you want to try them out, you sign up for a free account, and then you can access them. Other chatbot features like data analytics, vision, and memory are also available for free now. Free ChatGPT users can now access custom GPTs, analyze charts, ask questions about photos, and other features added with GPT-4 Omni in early May. Features like model and web resources, data analytics, chart creation, vision, file upload, memory, and custom GPTs were available to paid users, but are now open to anyone using ChatGPT. While free ChatGPT users can discover and use custom GPTs, they won't be able to create their own. Custom versions of ChatGPT we've used already have ranged from an on-demand thesaurus to an IKEA shopping guide. What up, Towards Night? And again, like this is all fine and good, but it doesn't depart enough from what you can do with Google, right? Like again, going back to my personal use of ChatGPTs, um, some of the board games that I play have dense rules in them, and they can be kind of confusing. Um, so the ability to ask the basically talk to the rule book is where the advantage lies, right? Like it's nice to have an IKEA shopping guide, but that's not a whole lot different from going to IKEA and just scrolling through. I need something that helps me analyze dense rules and helps me, understand the concepts, how the concepts interrelate with each other, and I can take a copy of the rule book and stick it in the machine, and then the machine can answer those questions. And then, as for the other thing was the role playing game aspect, right? Like it can help a player who is creating a character for All Flesh Must Be Eaten create a character, and all they need is like so a couple of six-sideds, and the computer, which they're going to need anyway, in order to track down the information of the character that they're creating. This, I think, like to extrapolate that to a more, not more general, but like to something that is not entertainment based. One of the reasons that I was able to adapt so well to understanding the hold on. Thank you. Um, when I learned electrical, um, the code book for electrical, the is about this thick, right? And when you go in there, it's a lot of basically rule 3.1.7 point whatever, right? Like it's that kind of book. um, some of the board games that I play, their rule books are in that same format. So like everything on unit placement will be in section 3.4 and like that. Having a tool that allows me to go into that. Are you going to settle? You have to settle. Um. So yeah, there's the thing. You could have a chatbot that understood the electrical code, that rather than having to go into the electrical code, you could query the chatbot, get an answer to your question with a relevant link to the actual section. And that's that kind of stuff. Whenever you're trying to analyze dense rule sets, which a lot of things we interact with today actually have a dense rule set behind them, you can access it that way. Conversational interface. Blah, 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 having access, you're biting my hand, sir. Having access to data analytics and chart creation lets users connect OneDrive and Google Drive data to ChatGPT for faster analysis and customizable charts. However, paying subscribers still have another advantage: fewer message limits. When free users reach the limit of messages or conversations using GPT 4.0, they will automatically revert to GPT 3.5. One feature users won't hear, no matter which tier they're on, is the controversial Sky voice. Um, the mobile version does have chatbots on it, and some of the voices are pretty cool. I use Cove. doop 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 doop. Um, all right, for my homies across the sea, we talk about the U.S. power grid and what we need to do to update it. Apparently, Britain is having similar issues. Britain's creaking power grid leaves green energy revolution adrift. British ferry operator Whitelink wants to order a $60 million state of the art electric ferry to make its crossings cleaner and greener, but it can't commission the vessel until it gets a power upgrade. The company carries 4 million islanders, holiday makers, and festival goers every year on a 5 nautical mile crossing between England's picturesque southern coast and the Isle of Wight. The strait, known as the Solent, is popular with yachts and leisure craft, while much of the coastline is protected. Whitelink has funding in place for an electric, for a electric. Just read your article before you send it out. for an electric powered car ferry that would reduce emissions both at sea and in port, following in the path of Pioneer Norway, which introduced the world's first in 2015. The government has said decarbonizing maritime transport is essential to achieving Britain's net zero target by 2050. Domestic maritime vessels represent about 5% of Britain's greenhouse gas emissions from transport in 2020, more than rail and buses combined, the government said in a 2022 report. They do? Okay. Good morning, Resute. So, I'll uh, they are England, so if they want to speak English in a particular way, I guess the rest of us just have to go along, right? The long average lifespan of vessels means that greener ships must start being deployed by next year to achieve a green fleet by the 2050 deadline. But interviews with 22 people, including investors, power company employees, government officials, White Link staff, and countryside campaigners, revealed that long waits for grid connections, combined with planning obstacles, are putting millions of pounds of green transport investment at risk. We want to go electric. We think it's the right thing. We're held back by a lack of shore power. Whitelink needs to order its next ship within 12 to 18 months to replace an aging vessel, but cannot commit to go solely electric without a legally binding power contract. Regional network operator Scottish and Southern Electricity Networks told Whitelink 2 years ago that a new connection at its Portsmouth terminal would require infrastructure upgrades, including a nearby substation on the national high voltage network, according to a document reviewed by Reuters and ferry company executives. I watched some electricians on YouTube who discuss the regulations that cause trouble, where the batteries can go, and the amount of electric service that can be installed. That's good. It's good to get yourself up to speed on that. Stop biting my hand, sir. The substation improvements by National Grid were not scheduled to be completed until 2037. After Reuters interviewed Whitelink executives, SSEN said this month enough power may be available without the National Grid work, but it would hold new talks with the ferry company. Okay, violent out. It is not playtime. It is work. It's time for work. We are at work, sir. And I come up here if you're gonna while out. After Reuters interviewed we said that. If Whitelink accepts a new quote from SSEN, it will be able to guarantee the capacity and confirm its place in the connections queue. We look forward to meeting them early next month to progress proposals. Britain will hold a general election on July 4th. Hey, that's our day. You can't have that day. With polls predicting a victory for the opposition Labour Party after 14 years of conservative rule. I mean, sort of, from what I understand about Keir Starmer. Whitelink's dilemma underscores the challenge Britain's next government will face in delivering the renewable energy and grid infrastructure needed to power a shift to electric ferries, cars, and domestic heating in Europe's second largest economy. Britain was the first major economy to create a legally binding. Ooh, that's rough. I mean, great, but also by making it legally binding, um, you know, that's how you got yourself into that whole Brexit thing. To create a legally binding 2050 net zero target. It's a leader in offshore wind and has halved emissions since 1990 after closing coal power plants. Good for you. Central to the net zero target is a plan to decarbonize the electricity system by 2035. But the state advisor, the Climate Change Committee, said in a progress report in June 2023 that the government lacked a full strategy to get there. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Today, more electricity is coming from wind farms in Scotland and off Britain's east coast, and new infrastructure is needed to transmit it to London and the south. Currently, wind farms are being paid to switch off in strong winds when the grid cannot absorb all the generated power, data from the country's electricity system operators showed. And this is what's wild to me, right? There's actually more than you can use, and no one's pushing, because it costs money. Who's gonna pay for it, dude? The future will appreciate if we get our shit together sooner. Please and thank you. The government has said reinforcements needed to increase capacity, including new substations, power lines, and supergrid transformers, could take up to 13 years to complete, in part due to regulatory and planning approval. It wants to have that time and is working with the regulator, Ofgem, network operators in the industry to accelerate connections. National Grid said in May it would spend more than £30 billion on the grid over the next 5 years. Is that enough? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all want some Tesla news? Tesla aims to launch its full self-driving software in China. Tesla's full self-driving advanced driver assistant is not yet available in the company's second largest market. Tesla is trying to get its advanced driver assistant full self-driving software registered with China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, according to sources speaking to Reuters. It's a preliminary step that could lead to employee testing of the system before it eventually rolls out to customers in Tesla's second largest global market. Yeah, Rusty Tay, it's just, I feel like there are solutions, and then people are just, you know, intransigent, resistive to change. The news comes after CEO Elon Musk's visit to China last month when government officials lifted restriction on Tesla vehicle use and the company secured a deal to collect mapping data. I'm 18 months tops. Uh, FSD currently costs $99 a month in the US or $8,000 for a one time activation. And according to Reuters sources in China, it could have a similar monthly subscription fee. It will also face competition from Chinese automakers like BYD, NIO, and XPeng, which already have advanced driver assistance systems available in the country. The Tesla FSD system, currently available in China, is a less capable iteration of the software, similar to the company's autopilot system that can assist with steering but doesn't automatically navigate city streets. In the US, a report released by NHTSA in April linked FSD and autopilot to hundreds of crashes and dozens of deaths. Tesla has also not yet launched FSD in Europe. As we wrote in 2022, to obtain that approval, Tesla must convincingly demonstrate that cars with FSD are at least as safe as those without it. So at least so far, it hasn't, and that's where I'm at, right? Like I don't need and it's weird to me for people whose standard of automated driving is perfection, right? That is not a real. Just say you don't want it ever if it needs to be perfect. It just needs to be better than the humans. And in a straight one-to-one comparison, not cherry picking your situations in order to justify your position. Uh, we talked yesterday about a what was it? Anthropic. I want to say it was Anthropic. Microsoft would love your perspective. Microsoft can pay me for my perspective. How about that? Yeah, as good as the average human. But, I would like it to be better than the average human, just for to get past that little hurdle. But yeah, once it gets better than the average human, then um, oh, it's Google. Google announced yesterday Agree, a machine learning framework to reduce hallucinations and improve factual accuracy. Uh, Now we have a blog from Hugging Face. Beyond traditional fine tuning, exploring advanced techniques to mitigate LLM hallucinations. LLMs have revolutionized text generation, but their tendency to produce factually incorrect and nonsensical outputs, known as hallucinations, remains a major concern. Yesterday, I read an InfoPack paper named A Comprehensive Survey of Hallucination Mitigation Techniques in Large Language Models. I guess it has all the prominent methods used for hallucination mitigation, so let's unpack what it has. There's hallucinations. I don't think we have to cover that. Basically, if it provides inaccurate information in any form, that's a hallucination. Uh, Researchers have proposed a diverse range of techniques to mitigate hallucinations in LLMs. And you can understand off jump why that which ones, Larry? The humans or the AIs? Because yes, if we could stop humans and AIs from driving into parked cars, that would be cool. Um, if you're going to, like, if you're going to use this for medical diagnosis, if you're going to use this for, you know, important shit, then you need it to not have hallucinations. Right? If it does, if it has hallucination, if it's providing you with inaccurate information, that significantly lowers its utility. It's more, it's okay in realms where you're doing creativity work, right? Like, then it doesn't matter as much. You don't need that kind of accuracy. But if you're doing stuff like good morning, Cosmic. If you're doing stuff like, education work, right? Yeah, historical or mathematics or whatever, you need accurate information. If you're using it in business, right, your business is going to need accurate information based on your company's data, so on and so forth. Hallucination mitigation techniques are divided into two types: prompt engineering and developing methods. Prompt engineering is further divided into two parts: RAG and self refinement through feedback in reasoning and prompt tuning. RAG, short for Retrieval Augmented Generation, is a technique that combines retrieval based and generative based methods to improve the performance of LLMs. The retrieval module searches for the relevant information from the external source, and the generation module uses the retrieved information to produce the response of the LLM. Basically, you can think of it like it has a big book and it goes in and checks the book to make sure that the information that's about to get you is in the book. Some of them are LLM augmenter, fresh prompt, knowledge retrieval, decomposing query framework, and high entropy word spotting and replacement technique. Self refinement through feedback and reasoning is a novel approach for LLMs to improve their outputs iteratively. It leverages feedback based learning and reasoning abilities to achieve better factuality, consistency, and relevance in generated text. There are many techniques used in self refinement through feedback and reasoning, such as chat protect, self reflection method, structured comparative reasoning, chain of verifications, chain of natural language inference, etc. And so this is just a lot of this is going to be like, you know, mathy, very, very LLM nerd shit. It will be available in the Discord if you want to dig in on any of these things. Is no, they're not hyperlinks. Really? We're not. You're underlining text in 2024 without providing a hyperlink. The important thing for the general audience is to understand that everyone understands that hallucinations are an issue and people are well advanced in processes in order to mitigate and eliminate that particular issue. So when you hear someone talk about you can't use AI because it hallucinates, understand that these are the very early days of artificial intelligence in its current iteration, and people are working on the problem. Like any new technology, there are things that have to be worked out. Don't let the copyright fight take away my ability to create. I'm interested. I saw that headline and I became interested. We talk about copyright a lot. We talk about IP a lot. If this is your first time here, that is, I would say it would do it through the same process of verification. Now, if you were to train an LLM on fake news and conspiracy theories, then you're going to get an output based on those theories. But let's take a very easy one, which is flat Earth, right? The it it could take the total information about the Earth, and it would weigh the scientific information about the Earth and then the flat Earth type information about the Earth and compare them, and the preponderance of evidence would lead to good outcomes, right? IP belongs to only a very few people. Yeah, no, I'm open source guy. I am, when you create something, you put it out into the world and it now belongs to everyone in order to iterate off that. There are complications to that within the current meta, which is why I propose changing the current meta. Um, but yeah, like any, I mean, the current state of copyright law is that you can't copyright music you create with AI, or most things that you create with AI. However, the beyond that, like anything that I create, I put in my SoundCloud, like music wise, and you know, it's, if you use it, right? Like have fun, iterate. If you can take something that I made and take it to another level, fucking A, right? That's great. If you make a whole shit ton of money, throw your boy a bone. That's all I'm asking for. um, People can certainly use LLMs to make all new conspiracy theories. Yes, but people didn't need and don't need LLMs to make all new conspiracy theories. So that is good, but men did not land on the moon. Men did land on the moon. Again, what is the preponderance of evidence? The preponderance of evidence are that men landed on the moon. If you compare all the evidence, that you will determine that human beings landed on the moon and that people who believe that the moon landing was faked are wrong. How does it determine what is scientific fact versus Twitter nut job shitposting? The preponderance of the evidence, right? The flat Earth has a whole bunch of things that disprove it and prove the globe Earth theory, right? It's all out there. Like people have done shit, all going all the way back to the time of the pyramids. People have known that there's a curvature to the Earth. So the preponderance of the evidence is that Earth round, flat Earth doesn't exist. People who believe in flat Earth misunderstand their observations or are just generally like telling stories. But every single experiment that you can do will result in globe Earth, round Earth, oblate spheroid Earth. Preponderance of the evidence. Okay, article. As I write this, I have a sense of achievement. Thanks to advancements in generative AI, I found a new voice as a writer, overcoming the severe challenges my cognitive disabilities posed in organizing words on a page. Are you going to settle now? This is time 3. You can hang out, but you have to settle. This is work time, sir. There's a lot of evidence that many tribal prehistoric groups knew it was a spheroid. Like, if you have a flat distance, right, without mountains and forests in your way, and your friend walks that way and eventually disappears over the horizon, and then turns around and comes back, right? You're either it's magic, right? But you trust your friend is telling you that they didn't fuck off to the shadow realm. No, they turned around and walked back, and then you can extrapolate from that there is that the Earth must be round in order for that to occur. It's a really easy scientific experiment. Uh, but because of an ongoing uncertainty about whether works generated with AI should be eligible to receive copyright, I had to take a step that most authors do not to secure the rights to my intellectual property. My story should prompt those interested in the intersection of AI and copyright law to think about what principles we want the law to support. Now 60, I'm a retired U.S. veteran. Although I entered the Army as a tank mechanic during the 1982 recession, my superiors soon realized I was a gifted writer. I became known for turning out top-notch evaluation reports, awards, memos, etc. However, as the mental illnesses that plagued me manifested, my writing ability deteriorated. I don't know why I'd suffered a troubling decline I didn't know why I'd suffered a troubling decline until I got properly diagnosed. Since retiring, I've been rated as 100% disabled by the Department of Veteran Affairs and Social Security. I suffer from CPTSD, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, a Chiara 1 brainstem malformation, and gender dysphoria. Each of these diagnoses severely impacts my cognitive and creative abilities uniquely. Who is this? Eliza Ray Shoup. Simple, mundane activities that others do effortlessly are like formidable mountains that I must navigate. It's always been my dream to become a published author. I had made peace with the likelihood that it wouldn't happen in this lifetime because of my debilitating mental health conditions. But AI technology has changed that. Big tech companies that people speak poorly about gave me a lifeline. For me, standing on other people's shoulders to create isn't about copying other people's work or simply entering a text prompt and using whatever ChatGPT spits out. My first book got painstakingly built, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph. I describe my use of ChatGPT as a reverse camera. To create, I tell a tool like ChatGPT what I see in my head for a writing scene. It then helps me decode my creative vision to usable material, enabling me to compete in the marketplace and meet Amazon's publishing requirements. Each sentence and paragraph built on my input is a mental conception from my mind's eye that gets translated. I then work to further refine it. Other AI tools such as Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid enable me to do that. And these people like Eliza here, are the type of people that people who are adamantly against generative AI and the entire thing hand wave away, right? And it's fucked up because those people are normally very good people when advocating for the rights of people who are, disabled, so on and so forth, right? How would I handle an updated fact about something and not see it as another false story? An updated fact would be accompanied with a paper, and that paper would have a preponderance of evidence in it. Also, like more than one paper, right? The reproducibility aspect of science allows us to reproduce events wherever we are in the world, right? So if I test gravity here, you can test gravity where you are, and therefore we know that gravity exists and it's not magic goblins pulling things towards the earth. The result is, for the first time, I can create long form content in a manner that doesn't trigger my mental health issues to shut down the creative process. I hope people appreciate my novel because I want to inspire others to write, to create, particularly those who also suffer from disabilities. If AI can enable my creativity and break through those disabilities, I'm convinced others will do the same. I don't write as I don't write as much as I could, but having some dyslexia, I've always been poor at the text output. Yeah, and this is like using a speech to text plus a LLM to help you form, sentences, paragraphs in the proper form that you want to form it in. That's a way these tools could assist you in that process. Regrettably, individuals who rely on AI assistance frequently get treated as inferior. Disparaging rhetoric gets hurled from entities and organizations in the status quo that fear this technology because they believe it threatens their livelihood. That sort of negativity erases the work of people like me who use AI as an assistant to achieve what would otherwise be impossible. Worse, it's behind the misguided frenzy to enact bad copyright policies that will restore barriers to writing for people like me. Some people appear to want AI developers to be forced to get an express license before using copyrighted works when training AI tools. This would not only dramatically jeopardize the abilities of one of those large language models that I use, it also wouldn't actually do much to help the artist get paid. Those tools train on billions of words, so any individual author isn't likely to get more than a few pennies or dollars. It's unclear whether money will flow to authors at all. Again, right here, this is why the solution of doing analysis and how much of my work got included in the thing, this is all kicking cans down the road and defending tiny little pieces of capitalism that aren't actually going to benefit people materially at all. We have to change the resource system under which we function in order to actually have a real effect. The Copyright Office, USCO, has rejected many copyright registrations for AI generated works. I'm proud to have pushed back. Because I received a copyright for my book's arrangement of AI generated text, a work of human authorship, right? The AI didn't pop this book out of the ether by itself. It requires a human being in order to make any of this stuff happen, right? Even once we get to the point where theoretically AI could, out of its own volition, manufacture a book of some sort, it's still built on the process that humans have been using for thousands of years in regards to language. It has been so weird to see so many people suddenly start clinging to the preciousness of copyright law. It really is. It shows a lack of internal consistency, right? And this is not like I am better than you and everything else. It's just I want you to understand, whoever might see this who disagrees with what I'm saying and thinks that copyright is good and that, you know, this is not real writing or whatever because of whatever manufactured reasons you want to put in its place. I want to get you to understand that that's simply not the case, right? I care more about you being correct than I do about me being right. I at one point in time I wanted to be right. Like everybody wants to be right. I spent a lot of time arguing with people on the internet because I wanted to be right. I no longer want to be right. I want to be correct. Mornings, Arian. I only care about copyright in the here and now because it hurts people, not the corpos. I want fully automated luxury gay space communism, but we ain't there yet. So for now, pay the artists and writers. I get what you're saying. It's just that the idea of for now pay the artists and writers means that the artists and writers will go back to complacency, right? As long as the artists and writers are getting their funding, then why should they give a fuck about the rest of us? That is what happens. Like in practical terms, that is what happens. We need to change the system. The system is going to change. We are going to run up against automated shit. Everything is going to be automated. And we're going to wait until the point in time at which 50%, where was it? Again, I don't like to pull shit out of my ass. I like to point to an actual, where was it? I like to point to actual, stuff. Do we wait until 50% of jobs are displaced before we start working on stuff? No. UBI, as flawed as UBI is, UBI works in all the times it's been used. So that's what we should be doing. And not just for certain demographics. Universal. I don't care. Jeff Bezos gets $1,000, $2,000 a month, whatever the number is that we need to give people in order for them to have a comfortable existence in this world. Jeff Bezos can have it too. I don't care. It means nothing to Jeff Bezos, right? But it means everything to the mass number of people whose lives would be transformed by that. Because every time we try it, it works in exactly that way. Pay them with what? Like this article just said, they wouldn't get more than a couple dollars because their work is such a tiny part of the training data. And that's what I'm there, Larry. Like we need a bigger solution. The little solution is not going to solve the problem. I fail to see how you would say that AI will do away with capitalism when AI is rooted in capitalism. Everything is rooted in capitalism, homie. But again, read the book, Debt the First 5,000 Years. Capitalism is rooted in certain kinds of communism for the rich and communism for the poor. You don't work out financial transactions with your friends, you do mutual aid, right? This artificial delineation that we create in that is going to it causes us no end of problems. This book makes so much goddamn sense. It's a shame that Graeber has passed from this earth. But beyond that, right? Specifically to speak to your question, you can only automate so much before you run out of consumers. Once you run out of consumers, you have no one to buy your products anymore. And as these products proliferate and the number of consumers go down, it takes the capitalist system with it. So even if, let's say that nobody does nothing and we just keep on this path as it currently is, there will eventually come a point where there aren't enough people to buy your products. Then what happens to your company? Then what happens to your entire system? That's not even close to an essay. Capitalism is rooted in human labor exploitation. AI can dramatically change their ability or even desire to exploit human labor. Yeah, like, just wanted to point out that what you said about UBI feels like a stopgap in terms of changing the system. Agreed, and that's why I said UBI for all its flaws. But it's like, it's a step in the right direction. It's not perfect, but it works. It's just kind of my point I was making before paying artists. It doesn't dismantle capitalism, but we still need those people to be able to survive. 100%. I do agree, right? I always say this when it's related to any of these things. Like, I am sympathetic and empathetic to the people who have lost money that they need to survive, to pay rent, to buy food, to do all the things that they need to do to exist under the current meta. I am. I just have to look at it from a systemic level, because looking at it from a smaller level means that the system doesn't change. We have to focus on the system. We get way too caught up in these day-to-day issues, you know what I mean? That goes for disabled people as well, myself included. I just want to help where I can. 100%. But up, it all costs money. Like, that's the thing. And that's why I love this person, you know, like, they are an example. Assuming that this is correct and it's not, you know, manufactured whatever nonsense, which I don't believe it is, because this is allegedly a picture and this is allegedly who they are. They're out here using the tools to do everything that they can, to create the ideas that they have in their head. And people who hand wave these folks away are doing the thing, right? The thing is the problem. If your system says that certain people have, that some amount of people, if your system says that some amount of people have to die for the greater good, I reject your system. Right? If your system functions on exclusion, I reject your system. You're just deciding who gets and who doesn't. And that's, we might as well just stay with capitalism if we're going to decide that we want a system of who gets and who doesn't. You know, because it's already here. And it's the lowest energy. We don't have to change anything. So if we're going to do that, if we're going to decide that there's haves and have-nots, then fuck it. Let's just stay with capitalism. Right? We're already in motion. But if we're going to have a system that takes care of everyone, where everyone gets, where there are no have-nots, that sounds much better. Issues are, we say companies when we should be calling out the CEOs and boards of directors and individuals by name. I would disagree, right? Like, and here's the point. Jeff Bezos goes up in a dick rocket. Dick rocket explodes. Jeff Bezos gone. What materially has changed in our world with Jeff's exploding dick rocket? What materially has changed? Nothing. Focusing on individuals, focusing on companies even, is not, it doesn't do anything. You can do leverage and stuff, and I'm not saying that there aren't ways to influence, that kind of behavior and everything else, but it's the system as the whole, right? If Amazon were to burn down tomorrow, the entire company were to just something happened and Amazon went out of business, what actually materially is going to change for us? Nothing. Amazon will be divided up into its component parts, and you'd have portions that go to Microsoft and portions to Google and portions to this and portions to that. The problem with capitalism as it currently exists is that it's highly adaptable. This is what happened after Marx wrote his books. Karl Marx wrote his books. There was an increase in labor's appreciation of itself and like that, and then capitalism adapted to that, and why a lot of the things that Marx expected were right around the corner didn't occur, or at least got pushed way, way back. It's because capitalism is highly adaptable. People who rely on the idea that climate change is going to fuck up capitalism because it's going to ruin their trade routes and everything else doesn't understand capitalism, doesn't understand how these systems work. And if you don't understand how the system works, then you can't address it. And this is why I'm a fan of this AI, fully automation, why we need to automate everything. Because it's the only thing that I can see that can actually unseat these processes of capitalism. What up, Adam? I love it when there's conversation. I understand your point. Capitalism needs consumers, so we'll need UBI, but it's a step in the right direction. Yeah, the system influences how the CEOs and executives behave. It's all the system. It's systems, baby. Systems all the way down. I would like to see the U.S. government seize control of Amazon. I would like candy and ice cream to not be fattening and cause diabetes, right? When we say it's is and oughts, right? Like, what do we want? How do we do it? Right? Where do I have to stand, and how long does my lever have to be in order to actually make things different? And I'm not saying I don't have all the solutions, right? I just set an income limit. Okay. What up? No underscore. The destruction is just part of capitalism and actually helps them empower Amazon as a huge mono company is vulnerable. Yeah, I mean any like homogenized system is vulnerable to things. So it all costs money. I want you to think about that statement right there. You set an income limit. Who sets an income limit? How do you do that? Right? You need to work it back. Who sets an income limit? The US government. How do we influence the US government? Voting, demonstration, these kind of things. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole tier of stuff, which is why, again, I understand people's opinions about electoralism and everything else. It's one tool in my box. There is not, when I bust out my toolbox of how to do stuff, it can't use a hammer as a wrench. You can use a wrench as a hammer, but it's contraindicated. Using all the tools is how this goes, right? Run for office, you know, you could rise up and try to seize the means of production, but you're highly unorganized, right? It sounds like, as a romantic myself, it is very easy to say, you know, oh, all we need to do is rise up and seize the means of production. Okay, sure. What does that look like in practicality? How do you do one of those? Right? What irritates me is when people use really broad statements to describe what we should do in order to, change things, but don't like tell you how to do it, right? Because I don't think that they know how to do it. They understand that what they need to do is to seize the means of production or build dual power or any of these other things that they read in theory or that they, observed. And I'm not dogging any of that. It's important to understand. I'm not saying that any of that stuff that they're talking about is bad. What I'm saying is, how do you do one of those? It's a system. These are all systems. So if you want to seize means of production, then you need to not only have more class solidarity, right? All workers, or at least not a all, a sorry, I'm spacing out on the terminology. A particular number of particular workers in particular places need to have class solidarity. And then within that, they can leverage their ability against that particular company or particular set of companies. Now we need to expand it. What is the actual number of companies that we need to leverage in order to make that change? Right? Not just in any particular, like, let's say the dock workers in Seattle go on strike. Great. Okay. That means that the dock workers in Seattle could potentially get more money, but the capitalism is going to move the products to a different port. It will keep rolling on. So you need to organize a particular amount of workers in particular fields, in particular areas that are able to leverage against the entirety of that system. It's complex. It's not easy. It is not just seize the means of production. It's not just organize. Right? What does organization look like? It's great that the Starbucks workers are forming a union. The problem that the Starbucks workers have is that they have a lot of people in that organization process that don't have the funding in order to outlast the corporation. So there needs to be a system in place to support them while they go through that process of attempting to organize. Right? This could be through relationships with other unions. This could be, setting up some version of like a GoFundMe. What are you doing, homie? All I'm saying is that when you say something, right, it's reverse world building, right? From a literary point of view, it's a reverse world building. When you want to do X, you have to figure out all the steps whether you work from where you are to where you want to be, or from where you want to be back to where you are, you have to work out all the steps that are involved in making that change. And the way that seemingly unrelated systems are in fact related to each other and have influence on each other. And that if I want to stand here and move this lever, how is that going to affect these other things down the road? Like how are these going to change? If you want to change this, then you probably need some sort of government protection for whatever it is. Please read what I said. Not production, it's automated. The struggle moves to distribution. What are we talking about? Seize the means of distribution? I missed something. The distribution will be automated too, homie. In the future. You need to seize production and distribution? Sure. But how do you do that? Right? Again, how do you seize production when the government would allow for a particular industry to, use coercive means of force in order to leverage your existence, right? Like what happened with Joe Biden in the railway workers, right? The difference between how Joe Biden acted and again, Joe Biden is just a person, right? Like it could be anybody. The how Joe Biden reacted to the railway union stuff versus how Joe Biden related to the actor union stuff, right? Entertainment is valuable, right? I love entertainment. I love the stuff that actors and writers and everything produce. I consume as much of it as I am capable of because I enjoy the shit out of it. I love storytelling. It doesn't have a huge impact on if that were to disappear, we would be less for it, but it's not going to interfere with the capitalist running of the company only or country, only a small part. Railways are vital to the distribution of materials from one point in the country to another point. So, in order to protect the ability for that distribution network to be leveraged, you have to influence the government in order to protect your interests over the interests of the capitalist entity. And I'm not saying it's impossible. These are all man made systems so that we can have man made effects on them, right? Or human made. Whatever you're trying to change, look at where you are, look at where you want to be, and figure out the steps between here and there that it would take to make that change. Oh, I think that's it. 9 o'clock. I have to go. Stick around for the raid. Who's gonna raid? I appreciate everyone who came through today. Do 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 do. Just gonna send you over to Zach. I'll be back this evening at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you watch this on the YouTube, Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay notified. Um, hey, thank you, Pharaoh. Like, and I try to be consistent. You know what I mean? I like, and then if I get new information, then I update my information. That is another way to go about it, Rusty. I don't disagree that it's a process that has potentialities, right? Like, it's a whole thing. I just try to be consistent, Pharaoh, and I absolutely love the members of chat who hold me to account. Right? I am not. I know everything, and you are a silly little chatter. I am a human who is fallible and everything else. Um, there are ways you can kill your ego, and I recommend them. Zarian, you're great. Um, anyhow, in the meantime, uh, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember that Chuggy loves you.